morning, Shay.
Good morning, Anna. How's it going?
I am still just so tired from last week.
I've just slept like the last 20 hours and I still haven't caught up on my sleep.
Yeah, it's not enough. Listeners, we're recording this the Monday after TESOL.
Because we said we would.
Yeah.
Instant regret, just
Yeah.
so you all know.
We owe you an episode, right? But we're still here like reeling from our time in Pittsburgh last week.
So Anna was in Pittsburgh for a full week, right? You went to TESOL.
Saturday to Saturday, yeah.
And I arrived on Monday night, so not far behind, but... yeah, we're both pretty exhausted right now.
Pretty wiped. So, I mean, many of you perhaps were there with us at TESOL 2022, inspiring innovation, empowering ELT professionals. Like, awesome.
Woo!
Right?
Yes, it gets me, just the title gets me jazzed.
But then I'm just exhausted. But
but today, we're going to do something really exciting. We're trying a new format.
Today, we'll go over some of our key takeaways, but we're also going to get the takeaways of other participants that we interviewed. And so we
made them do it.
Yeah, we have 3 guest speakers who, they were voluntold, right?
Yeah, well, I like that.
Yeah. Yes. But so let's hear what they have to say.
Yeah. Hello, and welcome to the Teacher Think-Aloud podcast, a podcast for reflective practice for teachers of English around the world. I'm your co-host, Shay.
And I'm Anna. So let's just dive in and hear who our guest speakers are today.
So my name is Natasha Agarwal. I am an ESL teacher in the Trenton School District in New Jersey.
My name is Huang Nguyen, and I'm a lecturer in second language acquisition and English language teaching method in the MA program of Applied Linguistics in TESOL at Teachers College, Columbia University.
My name is Joe Voits. I am a former fellow with the English language program through the State Department, and this is my third TESOL. Can you edit that? No. Edit that. Cut that.
Okay.
He just said TESOL.
Yes. Okay. So I'd like to ask our listeners. We'll put out a poll. Do you say international TESOL or TESOL?
Pretty sure it's TESOL, but
oops.
Anyway, moving on.
TESOL gives me a true sense of happiness and connection to what is really going on in the classroom.
I feel so energized each time I come to the conference because it is so heartening to talk to people that share my passion. And it's such a great reminder of why I love what I do.
It's been very enriching and a lot of fun to be here. Sometimes exhausting, but it's like a good exhaustion.
Wow. So all of these statements resonate with me.
Yeah, I mean, so many emotions were happening at the same time.
And to give some more context, we actually knew all of these wonderful people previously.
Yeah, because we were too shy to ask randos.
We're working on it. So for now, we stuck with who we knew. So Hua was Anna's professor for her MA at Teachers College.
And Natasha and Joe were both English language fellows. Natasha in Cairo, Egypt, and Joe in Jerusalem, Israel.
And they actually all gave a bunch of talks. Natasha and Joe were both on a storytelling panel together.
And Natasha and I did a session on the experiences of BIPOC educators and allies abroad.
Natasha did like 4 sessions.
Such a superstar.
And so humble. Hua also mentioned she did several sessions, 3, I think, right?
Right. I think it was 3.
So they all pretty much are brilliant. But also, Anna, you had what, like a million sessions? Like you undersell yourself constantly.
No, but I did have a session 4 out of 5 days this week. 1 at TESOL and 3 at TESOL. And one of them was with you, Shay.
Yes, we presented on the podcast journey.
Plus, I loved your session on creating e-newspapers in your classroom.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought it went well. Your sessions were all great too.
Aw, thanks. And so you and I went to, we didn't just present, we also went to a variety of different sessions.
We divided and conquered. Or we tried to, anyway.
Yeah.
Planning was difficult this year. We didn't have enough time to plan as much as we would have liked, I think.
Well, so I think we had a couple of impressions we were discussing throughout the conference. So, here are some of our key takeaways.
So first, teachers are so creative. It's always so inspirational to hear about what people are doing in their classrooms and just be inspired by just the innovation and the brilliance that exists within our international colleagues. So that was one of my biggest takeaways.
Yeah, teachers are awesome. We also noticed, right, that there was a lot more conversation about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think you went to a pretty good session, right, Shay? Like you were talking about it.
I did, yeah. I've been thinking a lot in my work with global citizenship in particular about this idea of decolonizing the classroom and decolonizing the curriculum. And so I went to a few sessions about that specifically, and I have to say they were really well attended. And I think that speaks volumes. I think that it shows us that people are really starting to get interested in this idea of decolonizing the classroom and trying to understand what their roles are in this decolonization process.
I also know, like, we're both really interested in intercultural competence, right? And so I went to this really cool, it was a great session on ICC in monolingual context.
Oh, nice.
There was this story circles activity, and the prompt was tell a story about the first time you noticed you and someone else are different, like the first time you noticed difference. And then the partners needed to recall something memorable. That was a really cool activity that I took away.
Yeah, I think starting with where you are is a really great approach to augmenting ICC, for sure.
Another salient theme, I think, was trauma-aware teaching, right?
There are actually quite a few workshops related to trauma in the classroom. So it's obvious that this is also something that's becoming more prominent in our field, and we're realizing that it's more central to our work. Actually, one of our participants brought up the trauma-sensitive workshop he went to with Sherry McKay.
Yeah, I went to a really great session on trauma in the classroom. And this is something I've been thinking about since teaching in Jerusalem. I noticed my students were very traumatized, and I started considering how I could respond to that as a teacher. And this session was very thorough, describing why it's important to acknowledge student trauma as deeply impacting the way that they learn and just part of the learning process for so many students, especially immigrants and refugees. And it was just full of great activities. We did a group brainstorming, and each group came up with several ideas that I'll implement. And it felt good to be able to share what I've learned on the south side of Chicago from a social work team, what we do there. So the exchange was fantastic.
Awesome testimony. Yeah, we were also in that session, and that exchange Joe was talking about truly was special. Actually, Joe, I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, but he shared a really great activity that he does at the beginning of his classes in the high school setting he works in. And I just loved his idea. It was like having his students at the beginning of class describe or choose a picture of what their emotional weather is like that day. Like, today I'm feeling cloudy because I live in Seattle and it's always cloudy. Or today I'm a rainbow, right? So it helps kind of gauge their emotional state when they enter the classroom. I thought it was really cool.
Nice. It's like a spin on a temperature check. Warm up. Nice. So Anna, what's your weather today? What's your emotional weather today?
Just like rainy day.
Okay.
Rainy day. Just kind of low energy, chilling, you know. But what's yours?
I'm like a foggy morning.
That's a good
I've
one.
got a foggy morning happening. And so, the sun is starting to peek through. I'm getting all jazzed talking about these takeaways here, getting excited, but in general, feeling a little bit low energy and just maybe a little bit overwhelmed emotionally, intellectually, just all sorts of things happening. So thanks, Joe, for that. Hope you don't mind. Too bad if you did. So I also loved how within that workshop in particular, I loved how much self-awareness and meditation strategies were integrated as a response to trauma, or to kind of give us more tools in our teacher tool belt for addressing trauma in the classroom. Actually, Anna, I think we're gonna have to do an episode on trauma-sensitive teaching because it was definitely a salient theme at this conference, among other things.
And so then another area of focus was technology. So let's hear what Hua had to say.
And as a researcher, mostly on classroom data, I'm always passionate about bringing research to the classroom and bringing ideas from the classroom to research. I think it's a very important connection to make, which is why I went to TESOL, which is a research conference, and then I headed straight to TESOL, which is a more teaching-oriented conference. I did 3 presentations on online language teaching. One presentation is on how to gamify language learning activities, and that was based on my research of a US-based school. So that presentation had a lot of audience. So I'm very happy to see that teachers are very amenable to technology and to all these new ways of, just making language learning activities more contemporary, more relatable. And I'm really passionate about how we can incorporate modern technology, but also to maintain the fundamental principles of language teaching and learning so that we don't get lost in all these new types of technology and cool, fun games. And then we don't want to forget about how learning can actually happen, like what drives second language learning.
I love that. It's really great to see her and other people making the connection between research and practices. They can feel so siloed sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also think her focus on technology is right on point. There was a lot of that in this conference. And actually, Shay, wasn't that the topic of the pre-conference institute you volunteered for?
Yeah. So now I'm going to share one of my secrets, listeners. If you want to attend a free PCI, just volunteer for the PCI itself. But anyway,
Pro tips.
we've been in this in a while, right? This teaching online thing. This is not new at this point, but people still need support. And so what I really loved that the speaker did, it was, so I think that the title was like Tech Tools Across All Mediums of Instruction or something like that. But something that I thought that the presenter did really well was create a connection between all of our different learning contexts, right? So some of us are hybrid, some are teaching fully online and synchronous or asynchronous, and some of us are face-to-face. And so there are a lot of different possibilities for our modes of instruction. And what I thought that she did really well was choose tools that are applicable in all of those different contexts. Because I think that a lot of times teachers are wondering how they're ever going to use all of this newfound knowledge and skills that they've acquired during the pandemic when they transition back to fully teaching in person. And so I loved that she created this connection between all of the different formats that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, I wish I'd actually been at that PCI. It sounds like it was, there were a lot of great tools you talked about that could be used in all of these different contexts. And so let's hear from Natasha, our last participant here, and what her main takeaways were.
I attended one session about SLIFE students and how we can best support them. I do have a SLIFE student in my classroom right now. He is 12 years old, never been to school. And he speaks a Mayan language, so that's additional challenges for all of us. He doesn't speak Spanish. Apart from SLIFE, I attended sessions on translanguaging, which were very interesting, and how translanguaging is really becoming the teaching philosophy. It differs from what earlier we used to do of just immersion and 100% immersion in the L2, but now the idea is that you can use L1 to teach L2, which is kind of refreshing and comforting, I think. Apart from that, I did one session on unaccompanied minors, which was, again, relevant and interesting, and also kind of heartbreaking to understand their journeys and how these young children develop so much resilience. I did some sessions on VIDA, the new 2020 framework, and how it is changing the landscape, the teaching landscape, because it talks more about social equity, It talks about emergent bilinguals, not just ELLs. So we are changing the lens from a deficit view to asset-based and thinking about what our students bring to us into the classroom, seeing them as multilingual learners. So the acronym is also changing from ELL to MLs. And I just love that we are moving into more asset-based, using their language, working with the whole child. And I think it is very, very nice way to tweak our philosophies and change our lens, the way we look at our students.
Wow. Natasha did a lot.
Yeah, I feel like such an underachiever.
Yes, that's what you are, Anna. Exactly that. I think I just ended up schmoozing the whole time.
Me too, yeah.
Hard not to, though, with all of the brilliant people to talk to.
Oh, yeah. But thank you, Natasha, for sharing so much of what you saw with us. It's great to get your K through 12 perspective. And it's also great that Natasha really took advantage of the conference of all of the knowledge our colleagues have to share.
Yeah, that came up in the last question we asked our participants. We asked them what tips they would give to a first-time TESOLer, not a TESOLer.
No, Joe. Let's hear what they had to say.
I think they should go to as many sessions as possible. Like try to get up really early and then go to the sessions, ask questions.
But definitely what they need to get overall is what changes are happening in the ESL field to stay current with the research and to have an open mind.
And then after you get home from TESOL, please look at your notes and then try to do at least 1 or 2 things each day immediately following the end of the conference so that you don't forget these ideas. And then, you can actually see how it pans out in your own classroom.
I would say to a first timer, talk to everyone. It's okay to feel shy, but just talk to everyone because everyone's amazing. Once you jump in, it's like an ice pool, then it feels great.
I think it's also important to engage in informal conversations and networking interactions with other professionals around the world. And I can bet that every teacher that you talk with, you're going to learn something amazing from them and that you can actually do it the next day after you get home from TESOL conference.
We totally agree. Oh my gosh. Talking to everyone, especially, right?
So, I mean, that must be my greatest takeaway, although it goes very much against my natural
proclivities.
Yeah, thank you. So, see, guys, we're tired, really tired here. But I remember, I've been to a bunch of TESOL conferences, and every year I come home exhausted, and it's for different reasons that I'm exhausted this time around. I used to spend my time running like a maniac from one session to another, like 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there.
Yeah, you're
just got to
crazy.
fit it all in, take copious notes, have all these handouts, and, things that I'll probably never look at again if I'm being honest. But this time, thanks to you, Anna, I focused my energy on networking.
Scary term.
Yeah. And so it was nice to have a change of pace. So I absolutely, I'm in accordance with what these people are sharing here. Talk to everyone. It might be exhausting, but it's worth it.
So all in all, we're exhausted. That's the takeaway.
As
here.
we've said many times. Yes.
We're exhausted, but it was just so fulfilling. We really ended on a high, right? With our own presentation on how to create your own podcast.
It was so cool. We were super excited. There were so many attendees, considering that it was the very last session on the last day of the conference. So we were really excited about that. And they all had really great ideas for podcasts that they want to create. And we're excited to share with them, the tools that they could use to get started.
So thank you so much to everyone who attended our session.
And thank you for listening today.
If you want to share your impressions of TESOL with us, your favorite sessions, your mental exhaustion, email us via our contact form at teacherthinkaloud.com. Comment on our socials. And if this is your first time listening, welcome to our digital community of practice.
Welcome.
We encourage you to subscribe to our newsletter at teacherthinkaloud.com for updates on episodes, blog posts, and the random things we've got going on.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Teacher Think Aloud podcast. And until next time, happy teaching.
And happy reflecting.